let me tee this up, this next presentation, guys. And this one is an interesting one for me because it happens to be 4 times a quarter, okay? And what happens is people call and say, I have this collection for whatever the reason. They have this collection. They are the executor of an estate and they don't know what to do with the collection. And oftentimes they think it's worth gazillions of dollars because it was the love of whomever owned the collection before. So I try to explain to them. We in the Amherst Railway Society, guys, offers a couple of things. We will appraise the collection. We will give them alternatives, but we'll find out, do they want to sell it? Do they want to donate it? And we'll give them alternatives to where they could sell, to whom they could donate, that kind of thing. We do this all for free. We've gone into, I couldn't tell you, and my guys, some of them here, a lot of you folks listening, a lot of my guys listening, you know, we've gone into basements and actually cleaned basements right down to nothing left where a railroad, where a layout once stood. So we do that, but there's also others who do that. So we're going to put together a little bit of a program that will help you understand more, but that's what today's next interview is all about. So we have what's considered and what's called the Jim Walsh Collection, guys. This is a little bit different. This is brought to you by Linda Walsh. We recorded this earlier in the week. Guys, Linda and the Jim Walsh Collection is a gold sponsor, and I'll come back after the interview and wrap this up. But what this is all about is all of a sudden there's a collection. And Linda didn't know anything about trains, but she had to teach herself. Okay, so interesting stuff. And she had the wherewithal to do it, I might say. I've had many conversations with her, and to the point where I'm almost in love with her. So Linda, if you're listening. So with that, guys, we have this great recording of what do you do when all of a sudden you have this collection. Now, what's different about this collection is this is the most high-end brass collection I have ever seen. And we'll take a trip during the interview to the website. So with that, let's roll the videotape, guys, and I'll be back as soon as that's over. Thanks. Linda, thanks for joining us. And you are the executor of the Jim Walsh Collection. The Jim Walsh Collection is a gold sponsor, and we appreciate that very much. So what happens? Yeah, thank you. And what happens here is I'd like people to know how you are going through the steps of dealing with this collection. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, luckily, Jim had very good friends that are train experts. And so, well, what happened initially is that he thought that a dealer down in Florida was going to be selling the collection. And that didn't work out because the terms were just not favorable to the estate. And so I got dumped with all of these trains. And so Jim had an inventory list, but it wasn't digital. So the first thing I recommend for someone to do is digitize your inventory, because it's going to make a huge difference once you start getting going, regardless of how you sell the trains. And so anyway, that got done. And
you're including pictures in that too when you say digitize, yes?
No, not, it's in an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
However, whatever program you use to, for inventory would work out. But I used Excel. And actually, I have to say, it was Jack McGarry's wife that did this from Allegheny Scale Models. He was selling the O scale stuff, and he did a good job with that. The HO, I had to take back because it wasn't happening fast enough. He doesn't have he doesn't have a website that is conducive to photographs, and that's really how you sell it now. And so that was that. And so Hugh from Buffalo, Jim's good friend, he did the pricing for me. He basically set up the trains in a book to say what the price points were, if they were low, medium, high, this type of thing. So Hugh from Buffalo was a very good friend of Jim's, a train buddy for years, and they corresponded a lot. And so he was so helpful because he could let me know the values. He created a whole book, it's here somewhere, on the low, medium, high priced trains. So I knew
Right.
what the scope was for that. And then, like I said, I had everything digitized and realized that I wasn't going to be using a dealer initially because it just wasn't working out. And so, so my background's in sales and marketing and digital marketing, and I actually gave workshops on website development for SCORE in San Francisco. And so I thought, well, you know, I trained so many people on doing this. Why don't I listen to my advice? And so we created the Jim Walsh, well, it's the JimWalshCollection.com. And I started just taking pictures and listing trains and figuring out how to sort it between the product scale, the builders, the roads, all this. And of course, all this was Greek to me. I didn't know anything and still pretty much don't know much about trains, but I know sales and marketing. And so that's how this all got started. And quite honestly, it's starting to really work out. I was very fortunate to meet Matt Dowd from Resourced Rails, and he has been a fantastic dealer for me. He's honest, he's really straight, train smart, and he's just very giving on advice and all that. And so initially the prices were too high on the site, and so we adjusted those, and now we're having this incredible sale. And I have a lot to thank with Matt. And so he's been buying the lower priced trains because I want to keep the website to higher valued trains and not mix them up. Jim was adamant about this on websites.
Matt is part of the virtual show, by the way, Linda. So
yeah, I know. He's
so
great.
not only is he a good friend to you, but he was a great lead for us. So thank you so much for that.
Sure. Oh, of course. My pleasure. Is that sun bothering you now?
Is what?
The sun? Is that sun bothering you in your head, on your face now?
Oh, no, it's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So basically, between Matt and I, we've sold over 500 models, and you know, we're kicking ass.
Yeah. Didn't you say to me when we first started talking that you're about halfway through the collection?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's still quite a few.
Oh, there's still quite a few left. Absolutely.
And if I understand correctly, Jim just didn't collect these. He not only did he get his hands on them, but then he tuned them up so they all run incredible.
Exactly.
Or incredibly, I should say, I guess, right?
He didn't repair trains for the public, but for his friends, he repaired trains for them. And he was in high demand to do this because he was so intricate and everything with all his repairs and his collection. You know, Jim was a engineer, project manager at Kodak. And so he's a perfectionist. So when you combine the two of the whole intricacy of these models, and I mean, I can't tell you the hours, the majority of his life he spent in that workshop upstairs, believe me.
I get it. As a model railroader myself, I get it, but it sounds to me like he's 10 times more of a perfectionist than I ever was or am. So
what he also did was he helped design models for T imports. And so, and these are the K3 Pacifics. There's several renditions of that. In fact, he talks about this in The Brass Trains, this book.
Cool.
And on page 220, he talks about all his research, and which took years.
Excellent. I'm sure it's considering those locomotives haven't been around in an awful long time. So
right.
That's great. Hey, should we check out the website? So this is the homepage of the website. When I first go to the Jim Walsh Collection, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner the address. So if everybody wanted to go to the JimWalshCollection.com, you'll be right where we are right now. So
you can see there's several pages of models. We're having the sale now. As you can see, there's sale marks on all of them, unless they're sold. And you'll see how it's sorted. And it goes into great detail. As far as the sort, I only have so much information on these trains, and so I'm not the spokesperson for trains, but I can talk about website development. So so if you go ahead and go to the Cincinnatian, I think I sent you that link.
You sure did, and here we are.
There you go. Okay, this is one of the trains that Jim was involved with, and this one actually just sold, and it's got the five car passenger set too with it, and so there's.
Oh, that explains the price. That is, but it's still it's worthy of that price. Oh God!
And I have to say there is another set as well, because there was a plan A and a plan set A and set B.
Wow.
And so there's a whole other set too.
Yeah. And so let me just show people how they can bump around this site and take a quick look at, and then when you switch angles, so you've got like a dozen pictures for each item. Gosh, Linda, how long did it take you to set all of this up?
Well, boy, I didn't really count the hours. I just counted when I was going to be done. I set up a studio, and so that's why the lighting can be fairly good on them.
Yeah, they look great.
And, each one takes about a half hour, and then I have to be so careful with it to unwrap it and get the inside and get the outside. And then, everyone wants to see the box condition and if there's any imperfections, and you have to do that. And so it's intensive. This is not an easy thing to do. It's a full-time job, quite frankly.
I'll tell you, it's so professional looking. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Let me ask you, if people don't, know where to go as far as producing something like this, what should they just try to find someone who's a website developer for this kind of thing?
Well, they can contact me at sales@jimwalshcollection.com.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I have a marketing company, and so this is what we do. And thank you for that question. But yeah. And so I can, in fact, if you go to the bottom of the page, if you scroll down?
Yeah.
You'll see that it's produced by Boomer Productions. And so that's actually my marketing company is boomer-productions.com.
Excellent. All right. I appreciate that. What would you do differently? Anything? Did it go the way you expected?
Oh, no, it didn't go anywhere near as what I expected. I never planned to be in the train business, believe me. But I had to respect and give him the honor that he needed. This is not a collection that's toys. These are super high-end models.
Yeah, these are some of the best I've ever seen, and I've been around a long time, so I get it, and it is worthy of a separate site such as this to let people know this is very high-end to me, and I don't mean in price, I mean in quality. And serious modelers would have a great time on this site.
Yeah. Totally. Jim, I mean, he spent the majority of his life in the train world. There's no question about that. And he was very generous to people with descriptions and advice and you name it.
Linda, thank you so much. I really appreciate your advice. There's so many of our members that come to us saying, what do I do with these collections? And not on a scale of quality as this, but you could apply the same ideas to it. So I want to thank you very much for spending the time. And I want to thank the Jim Walsh Collection for being a gold sponsor as well. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
No problem. I really appreciate it.